Functional? Mostly yes. It really shines in creative contexts. And low maintenance? Again, mostly yes. I'll get more into details about why I would argue that to be the case. In this video, I'll share examples of organizing in rainbow order around my home. I'll also share a story of how I started organizing in rainbow order, and I'll also talk a little more about why I would argue that it's mostly functional and mostly low maintenance. I hope you stick around. Okay, my running joke is that this is my flex, and it is that my apps on my phone are so pretty. They're so pretty because they are organized in rainbow order. You can see I organized them by white, then ROYGBIV, then gray, and black. I do this because my brain recalls the main color of the app that I'm looking for, and organizing my apps this way is helpful for retrieval. My toddler's hairpins, we have a medium collection of them, and I put them in rainbow order because it's for creative purposes. Here are my embroidery threads, and again, for creative purposes, rainbow order. My knitting materials, I have I've knit through my yarn collection, and my ultimate goal is to store yarn for specific projects. These are all the remnants of my larger collection. Loose parts. These are play materials for my children that I'm precious about, so I manage them and I store them in my closet, and I love organizing them in not rainbow order, but sorted by colors. Organizing in rainbow order is not a system I use a lot these days, but it does have a place in my roster of organizing systems because of how functional it is for creative materials. I used ROYGBIV in my kindergarten classroom for a lot of student materials because one, it's very orderly, and two, it's very inviting. These two characteristics were things that I really valued in my kindergarten class. I've since resigned from teaching, so I don't use ROYGBIV in that context. And I would say that, with the exception of my phone apps, all of the objects that I like to place in rainbow order are for creative purposes. The first place that I used rainbow order was in my wardrobe. Currently, the colors in my wardrobe are limited to white and blue and black, and that's because I choose to highly simplify my wardrobe. However, when my closet was more extensive, I used to sort my clothing by type of clothing, and then within that type, I would place them in rainbow order. So for example, all of the dresses would be on a rod, and then the dresses would be the dresses would be placed in red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple order. I'll talk a little bit more about the colors outside of the rainbow later in the video. This was helpful because the weather forecast determined what kind of clothing I wanted to wear, and within that type of clothing, then I would choose what color I wanted to wear. Circling back to why I would say this system is medium functional and medium low maintenance is that I'm occasionally stumped by where to put colors that are outside of the rainbow, like white, pink, gray, brown, and black. What I usually do is go white, pink, ROYGBIV, brown, gray, black, but admittedly, I'm not consistent. And inconsistent placement makes for unclear retrieval and communication. This is why I would argue that organizing in rainbow order is only mostly functional and mostly low maintenance. And this is why I think that the details of an operation need to be reviewed and studied and carefully considered before committing to a system. While I would never dispute how aesthetic organizing rainbow order is, it has its flaws. And this is my main critique of the Home Edit's organizing style. They seem to always go for rainbow order organizing. And I argue that it has its place, but for me, function is the priority over form. I'm Romina. Thanks for sharing your time. This is Orderly.
I can't film with you knowing that you can hear me.